Everything they've built will fall. And without Tom Richardson's movie review for X-Men Apocalypse, they will not know how to make better X-Men movies. So hey guys, that was my very weak attempt at making a voice for the voice of Apocalypse that Oscar Isaac plays in Bryan Singer's latest film, X-Men Apocalypse. In this film, you guys, I believe it's the eighth or ninth installment of this X-Men franchise, if you count or don't count Deadpool, I guess is the best way to put it. But in this movie, it's about the very first mutant that ever existed on Earth. His name was Apocalypse, and he's been reincarnated several different times throughout the course of history. The first being the Egyptian times, where they were building pyramids, and they tried to kill him off then. They didn't succeed, and he manages to come back during the 1980s. And around that time, he's able to gather four new horsemen. And apparently, every time he comes back to life, he gathers four new horsemen who are at his side, and they attempt to take over the world with him when he's around. Around this time, both Professor Xavier and Magneto are still, have their differences. Magneto's in a different country. Xavier is still running the X Academy, but they still don't see eye to eye. They're still friends in a way, but they still don't get along based off of both the events of Days of Future Past and First Class of the X-Men franchise. And so Apocalypse comes along. Magneto's more on the side of Apocalypse, while Xavier absolutely refuses to do what Apocalypse tells him to. And as a result, this puts them at war. Apocalypse has four new horsemen for the new generation of him trying to take over the world again. And it's also about him trying to get Xavier to be kind of his new human sacrifice he can use to hopefully live longer again for his current form. So this movie's all about, do they side with Apocalypse? Do they not? Is getting a lot of mutants killed over getting Apocalypse killed worth it? So this movie asks a lot of moral questions like that, as far as what do we value more, life or getting Apocalypse's way? Or is there a way that we can end Apocalypse together, but we have to make sacrifices there to do that? So this film answers all those questions and all those morals throughout the course of the movie. So overall, guys, I like this movie. I didn't love this movie. There's a lot of things about it that definitely didn't feel as good as, let's say, like X-Men Days of Future Past or X-Men First Class. Definitely not the same vein of quality as those other films, but not, regardless, this is a very well-made movie that I enjoyed quite a bit. But like I said, it's not the best X-Men film yet. There's a lot of things about it that definitely keep it in the same quality as like Days of Future Past or anything like that. So overall, for my positives and negatives of this movie, the use of Charles Xavier, Magneto, Jean Grey, and Cyclops I thought were all very well handled. I definitely like how they continued Charles Xavier's quest of making people who feel different not different, how they can feel the same as other people, how they can embrace their mutant power. Magneto was very well handled here. In fact, he was one of the better handled characters in the movie, definitely at a crossroads of making himself happy, making others happy, trying to see if he can trust Apocalypse or not, trying to see if Apocalypse can help him gain his own perfections as well. Jean Grey also very well handled. I feel like the new actress they found to play a younger Jean Grey here, though it does feel a little off that only about 10 or 20 years after this movie we get the Famke Jensen Jean Grey and the timeline of X-Men, so felt a little weird and maybe out of age group wise of why they casted her that way. But regardless, great acting, great performance. Love the new Jean Grey that they use in this movie. Same goes for Cyclops. I would even go so far as to say as this almost looks like a very young Cyclops that we've had from previous movies. If we really get the impression that this is the same character and possibly the same person playing him, it's just that spot on. I really liked his struggle of trying to fit in with everybody else as well, and how
Apocalypse coming back to life puts him in a struggle as well of who exactly can he trust to make society move forward again. I thought this was also a very fun and well paced movie. Definitely the first film in a while where the pacing really didn't bother me just because once it moves along, once it starts to get interesting, and once it starts to get fun, we're definitely along the ride for the adventure. And it definitely really slows down or gets dull as a result. It's definitely a fun, well paced movie. Oscar Isaac, I also thought, played a very threatening Apocalypse here in the movie. So good performance from him. Certain aspects of the writing were not his fault, just because he had to deal with a script that dealt with those issues. I'll get to those in my negatives, but certain aspects of the writing of this character did feel a little off, and I'll get to that in a second. Obviously, non-spoilers, of course. But I liked how threatening he felt as Apocalypse, and I really felt like he gave us the best performance he could out of this character. I'm not going to spoil this one. All I'm going to say is really look throughout the course of the movie. There's a very fun cameo from a very fun X-Men character in the movie. Like I said, won't spoil it. You'll know it when it happens. Very fun way how this character got into the movie. Be on the look for a very significant X-Men character showing up within one point in the movie, and it's a lot of fun to watch. Olivia Munn was one of the new mutants used in the movie. I think Psylocke has been used in an earlier X-Men film, I believe. But obviously, this film is probably the first time where Psylocke really plays a big role in an X-Men movie. So I liked how Olivia Munn both played a very sexy and a very tough interpretation of this character, because I think that's really what Psylocke is. She's meant to be beautiful and sexy, but also at the same time really hot and lethal. And if you mess with her, she'll kill you in a heartbeat, kind of thing. But at the same time, she's just so beautiful that you're just kind of gazed into her, that you can't resist what she does. So I really like how Olivia Munn balanced both of those things, and I think as a person too, she definitely represents the tough side of women while also representing the very sexy side of women. And I think as a result, they have a great casting choice here as to balancing both things for the character of Psylocke. Um, I also liked how Quicksilver made a return for the franchise in this movie. Definitely very humorous whenever Evan Peters showed up as Quicksilver in the movie. Just a lot of fun. Loved how they handled the character of Quicksilver in the movie. Just very funny. His moments here that were meant to feel comedic definitely feel comedic, and they definitely make the scenes that feel so serious kind of lean back a little bit and added more fun to the movie as a result. For my negatives of the movie, I really don't think this is the best X-Men film. I thought that films like Days of Future Past and First Class added more of an emotional punch. It definitely reminded us why the X-Men are the X-Men, why they're both good and bad. Um, Obviously this film does some certain things very, very well, but unlike some other X-Men films, I thought the time travel element in Days of Future Past added something new to the franchise. I thought that the way that First Class was handled, it added a whole new, edgier, fun way to tell an X-Men movie. And unfortunately, Apocalypse doesn't try to do either one of those things or even try something new with the franchise. It's just another X-Men movie. One character I thought really could have just been written out of the movie altogether. Every time he showed up, I thought like he's just been used as a plot device or just a way to move the plot along. Was the use of Nightcrawler. I didn't hate the actor who played him in this movie. I didn't hate the way this character was interpreted. I just felt like they really didn't need him there. I felt like he was just there to be there. Um, he was just the guy that would got characters from door to door or whatever to just move the plot along, so they didn't have to figure out how certain characters could do other things to get into certain places in the movie. As a result, it's just a very lazy way I thought that they got the story handled for the Nightcrawler scenes. Like I said, I don't think they even needed him in this movie. Didn't like how they used him in this. There's also some unintentionally silly moments involving Apocalypse. Just a lot of scenes that just feel either way too serious for its own good, scenes that really just need to loosen up and have more fun. Once again, this wasn't Oscar Isaac's fault. It was just some pretty lazy moments in the script that involved his character that just didn't feel as fun or as serious when it needed to. It just there was a very unhealthy balance of the two at times. and it just felt unintentionally silly at times too, which kind of I thought hurt the movie after a while as well. Also, I think at this point in the franchise, it just feels a little tired. It just feels like it just wants to give a break to X Men, which I think it should. I think after Wolverine 3, we could probably go 3 or 4 years without an X Men movie. I think we can all handle that. Um, it just feels a little tired at this point. It just feels like there's just not a lot of new things they could do with X Men at this point. I felt leaving the theater, like my overall reaction was I liked what I saw, I liked what I experienced, but I'm ready to take a break from it. I'm ready to have a different subject matter told in film that's more fun and more exciting at this point. I just need something that feels a little bit more fresh. I need something that feels like it has something new to express because what I saw here really didn't try to tell us anything new. But overall, I liked X Men Apocalypse. I am going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. I think it's a good movie. I think if you like X Men films, you'll have fun with this movie. Like I said, Charles Xavier, Magneto, Jean Grey, Cyclops are all very well handled, especially the new Jean Grey and the new Cyclops they found for this movie. Very fun and well paced. Oscar Isaac was a very threatening Apocalypse that he played in the movie. A fun cameo from a character that I won't spoil. Olivia Munn both played a sexy and a tough Psylocke, which I liked a lot. I liked the humorous side of Quicksilver in this movie, and I just liked the character a lot in this movie as well. But overall, this really is not the best X-Men film. The use of Nightcrawler could have been better. They could have even written him out if they had to. There's some unintentionally silly moments involving Apocalypse that could have just been better written in the script. And the franchise just feels a little tired and needs something more fresh to keep it going along if they really want to make more X-Men movies. So 8.5 out of 10. It's a fun time, but at the same time, don't expect another Days of Future Past. It's just not in the same realm of quality as that film was.